Amongst all of this craziness that's been happening in the NBA with a certain remedy for a certain bug that's been going around, as you put last week, Kyrie Irving has put out an Instagram live video to kind of explain his take on everything that's going on around him and the hysteria.
Yeah. Thought that was your block. My niggas ran that. Them niggas big pussy. Pass me a Tampax. Selling that powwow. I got that anthrax.
I don't know, man. At this point, I know he feels he needs to speak because there are people speaking on his name, all right? And they are calling his character into question, his intelligence, and a lot of that shit's not fair. You know, we talked about this in length about, you know, the remedy or whatever, and it troubles me that people continue to assert their thinking or their viewpoint or their opinions as, you know, the letter of the law. Again, I'm a fully vaxxed individual, and I took that precaution after a long consideration. And when I finally came to that conclusion, I was ready. I did it. I wasn't going to allow anyone to pressure me or to bully me or to call me names until I did it. And the more that people seem to, oh, well, yeah, you know, we can't take that away, the more that they seem to assert themselves in that way. You know, I didn't like everything Kyrie said. Like, I felt like he got a little long-winded towards the end. You know, I'm doing this for me and the people. But look, man, I don't need you to be an activist. Yeah. You have a right to do what you want to do. And for that's yourself. All that needs to be said. Mm-hmm. I don't need you to try and be Muhammad Ali. I don't need that.
He definitely probably views himself as that way, though.
Whatever. But you're not doing this for me. Do it for you.
Yeah.
Do it for you because that's what you want to do and you have the right to do it. And that's really all that has to be said. It's crazy because I don't hear people calling Bradley Beal a fucking moron.
No.
I don't hear people, you know, talking about Bradley Beal's character or, you know, his morality as a person. You know, I don't hear people talking about Andrew Wiggins like that. Hell, sure as hell didn't hear nobody talking about, you know, goddamn John. Well, no, we talked about Jonathan Isaac when he decided not to kneel.
That was a while ago.
But somehow not standing in solidarity with your team in that respect is respected and left alone. But respecting your own opinion and not doing what the rest of the team is doing in this situation is not respected and it's not left alone.
I think the media and the fans set this expectation to go into it and be like, oh, what's Kyrie going to do about this?
Yeah, because Kyrie is the most controversial figure out of all the players that have refused the vaccine. And it's like, I love how the situation or the rules start to change when it's a person that we don't like, right? All of y'all got jobs. We all got jobs. And if there is some sort of religious or medical exception that you need to skirt a rule that your company has set, you will try to exercise that exception, or you will at least seek it. But for some reason, Kyrie Irving seeking an exception for a medication that he chooses not to take, right? He said right there in the rant that he's willing to do the protocols, mask, social distancing, the rapid testing, all of it. Now I do understand from the Nets' perspective that it's not completely in their control, in terms of the city mandate, but also you have firmly put yourselves on the side of being on the opposition of Kyrie Irving as well, which I feel like was unnecessary. If you're gonna trade him, trade him. I think he's been pretty clear on where he stands on it. So if you don't want playing just only 41 games for you, trade him. Is it necessary to set yourself and the organization in direct opposition with him because he made that personal choice? Now, if any corporation did that to an employee in this country where they leveraged their power and influence against an employee seeking an exemption, we'd be calling to cancel that corporation.
That's a fact.
We'd be calling to cancel that corporation. Period. At least with anyone with half a political brain would be. Mm-hmm. But yet, it's such a hot button topic. Everyone's so entrenched because of the media and because of the way that they've characterized people who do not choose to get the vaccine, that it is impossible to have any kind of nuance in this conversation. So from that standpoint, I wish he wouldn't have done it because it only further entrenched people. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I understand wanting to address the people that are, speaking on your name or whatever, but sometimes you could do more harm than you can do good for yourself in that instance, for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. Speaking of trades, one thing I've seen going around is people considering trading Ben Simmons for Kyrie as an even swap, or somehow a swap between the two so that both of them can get rid of their headaches.
I think it's the most likely trade on the table right now. The assumption that Ben Simmons makes Brooklyn unbeatable is
nuts.
Crazy to me. That is nuts. That is nuts because, okay, so work this lineup out for me. So James Harden, KD, Ben Simmons, obviously, right? Where does LaMarcus Aldridge play? Excuse me. The 5? Small ball 5? Okay. I mean, you got some length there, so maybe you won't have problems defending the paint, at least until you run up against guys like Joel Embiid and Giannis and Anthony Davis and the Joker. Okay, so that's that, right? Are you not going to have the same problem that Philly has with Ben Simmons late in games on whether or not to play him? Or do they just feel like they can sit Ben down in the fourth quarter because they got Paul Millsap? Do you feel like Ben is going to be happy being sat down in the fourth quarter in Brooklyn the same way he's forced to be sometimes in Philly?
He kind of has to. He has to put away with that.
He has to fucking shoot.
Yeah.
And until he does,
those are the only two options.
Until he does, Ben Simmons is not a lock to win a championship anywhere. I don't give a fuck if you put him on a team with MJ his goddamn self, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. If he don't shoot the ball, he's a liability.
Absolutely.
That doesn't change. So if you want to make Philadelphia maybe not the definitive favorite, but much closer to an NBA title than what they are presently, send Kyrie to Philly. All of this story about the vaccine goes away.
For the time being, until Philadelphia has a mandate.
If they do. But that goes away for the time being. Kyrie in Philadelphia with Joel Embiid
would be nuts.
Do you want to be the reason now that you have competition in the East is the question that you have to ask yourself if you're Brooklyn. I want to send Ben Simmons' ass somewhere in Siberia if I trade him, because I definitely don't want him to be in the way of me winning an NBA championship, let alone playing him 4 times a year in conference.
Yeah.
Definitely don't want to do that. I'm of the belief that they don't really want to let Ben go, and they're hoping that this can be remedied. But if it can't, Philadelphia can get a whole lot better overnight if they want to.
1,000%.
And I just don't like the assumption. Yes, now Brooklyn has a defensive stopper. They have somebody who can guard the other team's best player. That does not change your situation with Ben Simmons shooting the ball. You still gonna be playing 4-on-5 on offense.
But you got Kevin Durant. I guess that helps a little bit.
There would be wide open driving lanes because, who's sitting in the paint? I am not of the thinking that, okay, you take the big out of the paint, Ben Simmons is automatically a 30, 10, and 10 player. I don't believe that.
I don't either.
I don't. Mm-mm. You cannot get that on a consistent basis.
Without a shot.
Even Giannis will shoot it. He's not the most prolific shooter. He's not the most efficient shooter. But he will shoot it to be a threat. Ben Simmons refuses to shoot the ball, y'all. That's going to be a problem for any team he plays on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with that being said, the NBA is coming back Tuesday, you say?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you a few questions about that. Who's your too early prediction for MVP? And I'm going to want to automatically assume it's going to be a Laker.
No.
Ooh, okay.
No. I think they'll kind of, by way of having the share the rock over there at the LA, that's going to take LeBron and AD out of the running. I'll go with Kevin Durant.
Okay.
I'll go with Kevin Durant with everything that's going on with
Kyrie.
With Kyrie in Brooklyn right now, they're gonna have a steady hand. I think Kevin will be that. Played at an MVP type level last year, coming off that injury. He's got another offseason under his belt of getting healthy. Kyrie or not, they've got a stacked team, loaded squad. I could see now Ben Simmons goes there. You kind of got the same situation, or if Kyrie comes back, you kind of got the same situation that's going on in LA, right? Like how does one of those guys win MVP? He's got the same situation that happened in Golden State when he was playing better to me, than he is now. I will say, because of how Brooklyn is constructed presently with Kyrie looking like he's not going to come back, I will say Kevin Durant.
Okay. I would probably say Giannis comes back with a good bit of confidence after winning the finals and becomes MVP, but doesn't obviously win it when it comes down to it.
I could see Giannis getting it. I think he's more concerned now with finals MVP.
I don't think he's making it back to the finals, though.
Ever? Like ever again?
No. This year.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I don't think his focus, now that he's tasted a championship, will be on individual accolades. Now he's legacy building.
And I think he'll play to be finals MVP again. It just won't happen for him. I think there's just too much competition for him this year.
Yeah.
For him to do it again. I think, obviously, even if he does make it to the finals, he has to face the Lakers or whoever's good enough to take the Lakers out in the Western Conference, which I think it'll be a little too much for him. But I do think he'll play regular season like an MVP, even if he's not looking to do that. One thing that's been kind of newsworthy, I think, in the NBA is the whole new foul rule that a lot of people are talking about, where shooters can't
lunge forward. Yeah, I mean, you would have thought that could have just been a discretion call within the confines of how the rule was already set up. I mean, I thought it was the most ridiculous thing in the rule. Ridiculous thing in the world that referees are literally watching basketball players make these unnatural movements and calling it on the defense, right? You shouldn't need a emphasis or a mandate to say that that's not a natural basketball move and should not be treated as such. Like, y'all done had James Harden shooting more free throws than field goals in an entire season.
Yeah.
And now we got to do something. All right.
Yep.
Nigga going to the line 25 times a night. Okay, now we should probably do something about it.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, it's kind of late, but long overdue.
It is, but it's needed.
Yeah,
at this point, there's probably some other things that they also need to look into. Things like flopping as an actual.
Well, they already fine people for flopping, and there's only so much you can do with judging someone's intent. So
that's true.
It kind of is what it is.
But I mean, I think there are some other things that they could probably look into as well. But this was something that was definitely
maybe
needed.
An additional coaches challenge. Just shit.
Yeah.
Some additional reviews.
But it seemed as if this specifically was starting to become players strategically just trying to get themselves to the line, especially from three. So it was like,
we had this conversation.
This definitely had to leave.
Back in 2018, I believe, about James Harden. And, I mean, it's 3 years later and players still playing the same way. So, yeah, I guess from that standpoint, something needs to be done. Maybe if we'd have taken these steps a few years earlier, it wouldn't be as pronounced as it is today.
Hey! Where y'all going? Where y'all going?
Thanks for watching another Back of the Bus Squad episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Want to check out another episode related to this? Go ahead and click that video to the left.
If you want to catch up on some of our other episodes, make sure you click the playlist below.